Hi and welcome to Mrs. Riley's Maths videos. This is the fourth video in our percentages series, and today we're looking at how do you increase or decrease a number by a given percentage. And this is really useful because this links to profit and it links to VAT and it links to any situation where we're trying to make a number bigger, in other words to increase it, or to make a number smaller and decrease it by a certain percentage. Okay, and it also helps us to understand percentages a bit better and to see how they work. So how do we increase a number by a percentage? Well, we find the percentage of the amount we're talking about and we add it on. We increase it. How do we decrease it? Well, we find the percentage of the amount that we're talking about and we subtract it. Or we can use what's called the multiplier method, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I have some questions here. I want you to try them. Increase 45 by 20%, decrease 220 by 40%, increase 30 by 15%, and decrease 500 by 12.5%. So I'm going to work through, if you think you're confident to try them, then go for it now and try them. Otherwise, I'm going to work through these. As soon as you think you're confident, then pause the video and you give them a go, and then you can always restart the video when you think you've tried them and you know what your answers are. So here I've got to increase 45 by 20%. So if you notice, the step I said is you find the percentage of the amount, and because it's increasing, you add it on. Okay, so we've just got this Lego figure added back in. It was there earlier and it's been added back in by my props manager. So increase 45 by 20%, so I've got to find 20% of 45. Now if you remember from our previous videos, that means 20 over 100 times 45. Or we can say 20% is 1/5 times 45, which might be easier. So 20% of 45 is 1/5 times 45, which is 9. So that's what I'm adding on. That's the increase. So I had 45, which is 100%. My increase is 9. So my start is 45, my increase is 9, and my finish then is going to be 45 plus 9, which is 54. The increase was 9, which was 20%, so I'm actually ending up with 120% of what I started with, and that's 54. Now, if you're doing this on your calculator because you're just finding it too hard, on your calculator you would do 20 divided by 100 equals multiplied by 45 equals, and that's 9, and then you'd add it on. Okay, so the answer is 54. As soon as you're ready, you just pause the video and give them a go yourself. Decrease 220 by 40%. So I've got to find 40% of 220. So 40% is 40 over 100 times 220. Or I might know then that 40 over 100 is 4/10. Or I might see then that it's actually 2/5. So it doesn't matter which way I want to do it. Let's go with 2/5. So 2/5 times 220. 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 22, goes 4 times, remainder 2 goes, 5 goes into 20, goes 4 times. So 1/5 of 220 is 44. 2/5 of 220 would be 2 by 44, which would be 88. So that's my decrease. So my start is 220, my decrease is 88. So my finish is 220 minus 88, which is what? It's going to be 132. My start was 100%. My decrease was 40%, so I'm ending up with 60% of what I started with. And again, if I was to do that on the calculator, I can do 40, it's hard to see because of the light, but 40 divided by 100, that's 40%, and then multiply by 220, which is 88, and then I've got 220 minus 88 is equal to 132. Okay. Increase 30 by 15%. So I've got to find 15% of 30. So that's 15 over 100 times 30. And 15 over 100 is actually 5 goes into 15 3 times and into 100 20 times. So it's actually 3/20ths. So I'm finding 3/20ths of 30. So this will be a bit harder. Let's see, we might cancel those zeros because one is on the underneath and one's on the top. So what I'm left with is 3 by 3 is 9 over 2, which is 4.5. So 15% of 30 is 4.5. So I start with 30. I'm increasing, so I'm adding on, equals 4.5. I'm going to add those together to get my finish, which is equal to 34.5. I start with 100%. I found 15% and I added it on, so I have 115%. So my answer is that to increase 30 by 15% would be 34.5. And finally, decrease 500 by 12.5%. Now I've deliberately chosen a nasty number because I'm hoping that you remember that 12.5% means 12.5 over 100, and I'm hoping you remember that that's 1/8. So don't forget, some of these nasty looking percentages are actually quite nice fractions. So I'm finding 12.5% of 100, of 500, 12.5% times 500, which would be 1/8 times 500. But actually, so we've got 12.5% of 500 is 1/8 of 500. So we can divide 8 into 500. 8 doesn't go into 5, it goes into 56 times. So that would be remainder 2. And 8 goes into 20 twice. Remainder 4. So bring down that 0, 40. So it's going to be 62.5. Okay. Now actually, if I did it, so that's 62.5. If I did it this way, I could cancel that 0, cancel that 0. I could cancel that 0 and that 0. And actually I'd end up with 12.5 times 5, which would be 62.5. So it might actually have been easier to leave it as 12.5 over 100. Anyway, what did I start with? I started with 500, which is 100%. I had a decrease of 62.5, which was 12.5%. So I'm going to subtract those. So I'm going to get 7 minus 2 is 5. Hang on, I didn't do that right, did I? 500 minus 62.5. So 10 minus 1, yeah, so that's now a 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. This is what happens when you get lazy. And 9 minus 6 is 3. And I borrowed from there, so 437.5. So that's my finish, is 437.5, which is 87.5%, because I started with 100% and I took away 12.5%. Now, the multiplier method really quickly. The multiplier method works like this, and it's really useful when you come to compound interest, and it's very useful when you have lots of calculations to do, especially if you've got a calculator. So with something like increase 30 by 10%, which we did a moment ago, what we think about is we started with 100%, which would be the 30. We increased by 10%, and we ended up with 110%. So what we're doing is that when we increase 30 by 10%, we're actually finding 110% of 30. 110% is 110 divided by 100, which is 1.1, if you remember from your decimals and your fractions. So to find 110% of 30, I just multiply 30 by 1.1. So 30 times 1.1, well, what's that? Actually, that's the same, isn't it, as 3 times 11, which was 33. So 30 times 1.1 is 33. So 33 is 110% of 30. In other words, I've increased 30 by 10%. Okay, go back over that if you need to. Here's decrease 800 by 40%. I start with 100%, I subtract 40%, so I've got 60%. So decreasing 800 by 40% actually means finding 60% of 800. 60% is 6 over 10, which is 0.6. Our multiplier is 0.6. So I'm multiplying 0.6 by 800. Or you could say that I'm multiplying 6 by 80, couldn't you? If I used one of those to make that into 6 by 80, which is 480. So in fact, 480 is 60% of 800. I multiplied 800 by 0.6. That 0.6 is called the multiplier. That 1.1 up here is called the multiplier. It's the number we multiply by to find the percentage of the number. So 800, 60% of 800 is 480. So my answer is 480. Okay. Okay, talk to you again. Bye-bye.